So I get a lot of questions about what it's like to be a doula or asking for advice about being a doula. And there's one thing in particular that is very hard and frustrating about being a birth worker that I want to talk to you all about today. So as a doula, I spend a lot of time preparing people for birth. And because over 90% of the people in this country choose to birth in hospitals, a lot of that preparation looks like warning people about the issues that may arise when they go to the hospital. And a lot of these issues have to do with the fact that the medical paradigm, the medical hierarchy, the medical system is not always practicing evidence-based care. And what I mean by evidence-based care is essentially caring for someone or treating someone in a medical way that is based on sound research. The research is not biased and the research is not out of date. And unfortunately, in the hospital, a lot of the things that we do are either out of date, they have been disproved and we shouldn't be doing them anymore, or they're just flat out not helpful to a birthing person. And I want to give you all a few examples of this before I go on. So example number one, telling low risk pregnant people who are in labor not to eat. This is absurd. The whole reason why we tell people in the hospital not to eat anything once they get admitted if they're in labor is in case they need a C-section. And a long time ago, before we had the technology to manage this, there was a risk of people essentially vomiting while under anesthesia. And because they were under anesthesia, they would choke on their vomit. Sorry to be so forward, but that's what it was. And there was a lot of danger to that when it came to surgery. But as technology has progressed, as the way we do C-sections have progressed, we don't have that issue anymore. And I always tell my clients, if somebody got into a car accident and they needed surgery on the spot to save their life, a doctor would not deny that surgery based on the fact that, oh, this person just came from a cafe and was eating, so they have a full belly. Yet we tell pregnant people all the time, once they get admitted to the hospital and they're in active labor, now you're not allowed to eat. The part that is really frustrating about this is that we actually have science, we have research that tells us, A, it is not dangerous to eat while in labor because we have the technology to give a person an epidural in order to do a C-section. So even if they did vomit, they're awake and they wouldn't choke. They would just simply vomit and put their head back down. B, this is really not helpful for somebody in labor because your body is working so hard. You need energy, you need stamina. And if you've been laboring for hours and hours and hours, you might need to drink a smoothie. You might need to eat a healthy, hearty snack to get your energy back up. And the study actually told us that people who eat in labor and aren't under eating restrictions actually ended up having better birth experiences. I think the group that was able to eat had shorter labors by, it wasn't anything dramatic, maybe a few minutes, but it's safe. The next example is glucose testing. We screen everyone we do the glucose test on everyone, and it's not the test itself, right? We can debate if we really need to test everyone for high blood sugar. But the real problem is the glucola, the glucose drink, that orange yucky drink that has so many chemicals in it. It has high fructose corn syrup in it, and it's GMO. These are all things that we should not be offering to pregnant people just for the sake of testing blood sugar levels. We could give them a banana. We could give them a piece of cake, but this drink is so toxic. And down below, I will link an article as to why it is so toxic and why pregnant people should not be drinking it. Yet this is standardized. Everybody thinks it's okay. My third example is inductions. I cannot tell you how frustrated I am when I talk to pregnant people and they tell me I'm getting an induction because my doctor is going to be busy during the week of my due date, or my doctor is going to be out of town, or, you know, whatever else reason that's totally and completely arbitrary. And we have totally dismissed the fact that when labor initiates itself, the hormones, the baby, the body is ready to do birth. But when we force the baby, force the body to go into labor, it's counterproductive to the whole process of labor because we're forcing it. So those are 3 examples of non-evidence-based practices that I see happening quite often. And what's frustrating for me as a doula, and quite honestly exhausting, is having to convince people that these things are not okay. I have to convince birthing people that, number 1, this is not based on evidence or research. Number 2, this can be harmful to you and your baby and could put you in a place where you don't get the type of birth experience that you want. And so, because I'm a doula, because I don't have a medical degree, because I'm not a part of this big medical conglomerate, I'm an outsider, a lot of times it looks like I am just anti-medical, I'm just radical, I'm just a rebel, I'm just stirring up problems. And unfortunately, my passion is for people to have the birth experiences that they desire and to have healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually healthy experiences. And so when I look and I see that the things transpiring are not going to give you that healthy, holistic experience, and I'm trying to tell you, like, steer clear, caution, go the other way, and people don't believe me because I don't have the degree, because I'm an outsider, because I'm pigeonholed as being radical, because they trust their doctor more than they trust their doula, because we have been programmed to believe that every single thing that our doctor says is true in fact, and we cannot question it because we haven't gone to medical school. That is exhausting. That battle, fighting that battle, is exhausting. And sometimes I get people who are already kind of open to the idea that everything in the medical system isn't necessarily right and true. It's a little bit easier. But when I'm working with folks who have never even heard of the concept of their doctor being inaccurate in the way that they work, when I have to introduce that as a new concept, it is so weathering. And not only do I have to introduce the concept, but then I have to back it up with all of this information, and then I have to explain it. And then, unfortunately, sometimes I have to witness people go through a process where they don't heed the advice and things backfire and they don't get the experience they want. And it's frustrating because I'm like, I really wanted you to like not go down this road, and I tried to prevent this situation from happening, but I can't force you because after all, I'm your doula. I'm going to support you in whatever choice that you make. So yeah, if you're looking to become a doula and you really are going to do the work to learn about the systems in which we birth our babies here in this country, I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of just kind of feeling crazy sometimes because you don't want to be, and I want to clarify, I'm not anti-doctors, I'm not anti-OBs, I'm not anti-hospitals. I don't dislike those people and places. What I dislike is the ideology in which the whole paradigm enforces. And it tells us to believe that this is the only way, and if not this way, then nothing else. I'm in the room, in the hospital, standing in front of the medical provider, and that energy is consistent. Like, this is the way we do it. This is how we are going to do it. and there's no other way to do it. And I don't want to generalize and say that every single hospital and every single doctor and every single nurse is not practicing evidence-based care, because that's not true. There are lots of people who are working toward putting in real work to treat pregnant people and birthing people with the best, most advanced, most up-to-date care, right? So it's not everybody, but it's the vast majority. It's the vast majority. And I'll just add this one little thing, which could probably be a whole different video in and of itself, but just the fact that over 90% of people in America birth in a hospital tells it all. Because birth is not a medical event. And even the people who have the money to buy the birthing pool and the midwife and the doula and get all the pieces together to have a home birth, even those folks choose to go to the hospital. And it's not because they're high risk, it's because they're scared. We have been bred to fear birth. We have so many people saying, well, we used to die in childbirth. We are dying in childbirth at the same rate that we died during slavery. So that is not a condition that justifies what is happening by all of us going into this system that clearly is broken in some ways. And it's not broken because of individual doctors or individual hospitals or this person or that person. It's broken because it's broken at the root. When we removed birth from midwives and from the home, and we medicalized it, and we sterilized it, and we had to manage it, that's when a lot of issues arise. And we still have not confronted the fact that we made a huge mistake in birth. I think that's a hard pill to swallow, because the medical paradigm has saved many lives. It is still saving many lives. But medicalizing pregnancy and birth, putting every single person in the hospital, making it seem like every single person needs to be medically managed to the T, I don't think that should be the standard. Because birth, at the end of the day, is a normal physiological process. It's a normal process. And maybe we need to start looking at being more mindful about our birth experiences. So, that is my little doula rant for today. And I really wanted to say this to people who are either new doulas or thinking about becoming doulas, because I feel like it's better to know what you're getting into versus it just kind of slapping you in the face and you're like, whoa, what is going on here? All right. If you would like me to elaborate on any of the things that I said in this video, feel free to go down in the comments and let me know, hey, could you elaborate on this thing you said? And if you're a doula, let me know, do you agree? Do you feel like there's a certain amount of weathering that comes from constantly having to challenge the status quo of birth in America? All right, y'all. I'll see you in the next video. And subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe.